And that also, we have a situation even now where large tracts of land are lying there unused, against which you could at least make claims, and if the existing landowner really had very little interest in doing terribly much with it, would they bother to continue paying the insurance in order to have it protected? And that would be sufficient, for example, to house everyone, even within existing conurbations. So rent would come out of the system in a sense, and I don't think I think the end product is pretty much the same. There would be economic disincentives to holding land that you're not using, because you'd have to defend it in the absence of a state automatically granting you title and being your defence in a court of law. That free market court would, I think,
like the names registry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Free market things.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the obvious that actually the problem with land ownership and economic rent is also highly geared around the influence of the state and its privileged client class, i.e., the agglomeration benefits of Greater London are to do with it being capital and where the Russians want to live and so on. Were we less tied to those structures of power and possibly to large manufacturing bases and things, and we'd be able to fragment into smaller communities where rent wouldn't be a problem. I mean, rent isn't a problem for sort of the northern half of the country, from Leeds north. There is land going to waste there, and I don't think it would end up terribly much different from Carson. I mean, the difference is that both Tucker and Carson, and I would say me, but I don't think I do anymore, feel that in that interim between having a very large state privileged class and no state at all, that there may need to be some mechanism for kind of forcing it along, and I'm not sure that that's the case now. And I think those mechanisms would kick in fairly quickly. I mean, if we look at topical housing benefit, 20 billion a year subsidy to landowners. It's not to poor people who can't afford housing, it's a subsidy to landowners. And not only is it a subsidy to landowners, but it underpins every other of us who needs to rent or even to buy, because that yield influences the capital value of the property.
In fact, that case is in the House, that case is in the news at the moment about the Somali family.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
That originally was a £1,000 a week.
Yes,
rent.
yes, it was advertised.
It only went up to £2,000
when it moved to housing benefit. Yeah. It's bonkers. Bonkers.
I think that sort of thing will disappear quite rapidly, the housing benefits.
Got loads of questions and I've got loads of comments as I read Kevin Carson's book, Organisation Theory.
Lucky you, I haven't got far through that one.
How many pages is it?
700 pages.
Yeah, I got as far as him trying to explain why the economies of scale weren't, which I think is chapter 1, isn't it?
The whole thing. It's quite a cheap. But just picking up on what you were saying just now, I mean, to what extent the mutualists are also Georgists, and the extent to which the two are the same or different, and there's obviously some fairly big overlap between. But Georgism and that side of it, think about the modern world and say, well, what is the reason why the average wage earner or borrower has great difficulty buying their own house? Let's pose that question. And you look to see what the explanation is. I don't think the explanation is that there are all these equal rentiers or holding land unoccupied.
No,
I think
but the cost of money doesn't help.
Well,
I mean, the availability of debt.
I think the fundamental, no, I'm not sure it's that, because we've got we don't have by any means a perfect banking system, and therefore we don't have a perfect mortgage market. In this country, certainly compared to many people, we have a relatively competitive mortgage market. I think the real problem, actually, is state controls on planning.
Yes.
Because if you look at the amount of land in raw quantities in South East England, work out the acreage, then you look at the land prices that actually prevail, you find that the land prices that prevail are something like 100-fold higher than they would be if all the land that is currently undevelopable would be developable.
Yeah. I mean,
so that seems to me an example of an area where actually the mutualists / Georgists are aiming their guns at the wrong thing, and that to be talking about the need to impose a tax on the undeveloped element of land is just a sort of a bit of a foible. So that's...
Yeah, which is why I think I've got beyond it. I mean, I think there are these three reasons. There is planning, and there is the fact that land would cost to hold in the sense of insuring your title and so on, which would disincentivize holding of idle land, and the availability of debt, not the cost of debt, but but yeah, I mean, I suppose in the last decade, the low cost of debt, meaning that there's been all that money going nowhere but into land values, which have been underpinned by the stupid planning system. Funnily enough, on Friday I was asked to go and talk about community land trust to a group of all of the Oxfordshire District Council planners, and they're saying, you know, the coalition government has torn up the planning book, but the entire market has seized up because developers and so on want to know what's in the next book before they'll make any investment in applications that might lead to appeal and so on and so forth. And the more I sat there listening to them, the more I thought, well, you know, the message from the government maybe really should be that we're not going to produce another book unless you settle all this through the courts and let precedent decide what's right and not. I mean, Richard Best, who used to be director of the Joseph Rowntree, always used to say that he used to do a lecture about whether housing everyone would destroy England's countryside or something, and he used to start the lecture with the little snippet that if we all lived at the same density as Hong Kong and Singapore in the southeast region, we'd fit onto the Isle of Wight and Portsmouth and Southampton. So, you know, there's plenty of land. I mean, it's just bonkers.
The celebrated statement was that everyone in the world would stand on the Isle of Wight. Andrew?
Yeah, I was going to say, the whole question about planning raises the question in my mind, who is the privileged class here? As it is being created by these planning regulations. The second question, which was in the back of my mind, was how do you prevent there being a privileged class?
How to prevent there being?
Well, the privileged class.
Yeah, I mean, take away the only organ that can enforce that privilege through legislation and so on.
I.e. the state.
I.e. the state. I mean, that you know, that's the, if you like, as Carson says in the other one, in the Mutualist Political Economy, the central insight of that book was that the difference between capitalism as exists in the free market is the state intervening on.
Privilege, as I points out in his books on law, legislation and liberty, is state-enforced privilege by law, and of course you then have an underprivileged class. But
I mean, I suppose
this is relevant to capitalism, though, isn't it? You know, capitalism, as defined by Marx, is just the money system.
Yeah, and there's very little. I mean, that's why both groups were in the First Internationale, and Counter and Tucker wrote State Socialism versus Anarchism.